Well, for that I would, but you need to send me the link so I can share it. Mhm.
Hello and welcome to the Dáil legislative session on the 25th of January 2025. We do have Wilberfork, the LCC, presiding over this session today. We will hopefully get some deputies up to speak, so for a different viewing experience. But for now, it will be just me, and I'm also joined by Carmela.
Hello, everybody. We are just about to start with the first bill for the day. It should be the Official Secrets Amendment Bill presented by Gamers Go Bing Bang. I think he's the Minister for Defense as of recently with the new cabinet shuffle. And is he in the chamber?
No, I don't.
Wait, how many deputies are here? Hold on a second. It's 1, 2,
10,
3,
including the
4, 5,
board.
6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so there aren't many deputies in today, but it must be noted that the government is outvoted by one. They're outnumbered by one person today.
Surprised
So we have a situation.
we don't see Dylan here today.
Well, that's interesting. Maybe Dylan had something better to do right now. But the plain truth is, if a particular minister is not in the chamber, normally the Taoiseach or somebody else could um, present the bill for debate. I don't know why the Taoiseach isn't presenting the bill. Um,
And oh, they're avoiding. I believe they're just skipping over the bill.
it appears so. I think they're moving on to
Yeah, new bill. Well, that's our
because
first
there's
bill
there.
done. I think there's already a bit of miscommunication already.
All right, so now it appears we're going on to the electoral reform bill from the leader of the opposition, Mr. Sunday, or the electoral integrity bill from the leader of the opposition, Mr. Sunday. Now, this one, I am unsure if it will in fact pass.
I believe this is the probably an amendment to the a modification to the previous bill he presented, where it would allow people to see invalidated votes. Obviously, not for the party, but who got their votes invalidated. But I could be completely wrong, so do take that with a grain of salt or sand.
Well, as of right now, the leader of the opposition is speaking, presenting his bill. And as of right now, it appears that there are 6 opposition votes to 4 votes for the government today. Where is the rest of the government? That's the first question one would ask in a situation like this. Because politically, it's not politically normal or usual to see the leader of the opposition presenting substantive policy changes through the legislative process and for it to pass, unless it is something that he would have discussed with the government. And we now see the former Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Reginald Saville, entering the chamber. We may see a small trickle of government deputies entering before this bill gets a vote. But Mr. Sunday is saying the essence of the bill remains the same, but what change has he made to the bill?
I think something that was raised among the deputies before was, I believe, privacy concerns over the username being released.
And now we are going to hear from Oscar, the leader of the Social Democrats, who has on a very interesting, is that a jacket or a sweater? Looks quite nice. I like the pattern.
Looks like a sweater suit.
All right, so the bill is now going on to third reading. I see the government agreeing, second reading, sorry. I see the government agreeing to vote for second reading on this particular bill. Oscar said it was a carpet. All right, so now the bill is in second reading, and we see more deputies joining.
Yeah, this is where we will be seeing the debate.
Mm-hmm.
It seems the more deputies have joined trying to get rid of the opposition majority, but I do believe
Well, the opposition still has one more than the government.
Oh yes, Fianna Fáil has invited 2 more members. However, this first time debate isn't looking good for Fianna Fáil. If the Social Democrats aren't agreeing, then they won't be able to get the majority.
Right, we now are going to hear from the Taoiseach, Krispy Kreme, Christopher P. Cream, as his full name is. And one noticeable absence today so far is the new Minister of Justice, Gigam 15, who has just been brought back into government by the Taoiseach.
I don't believe under Fine Gael he actually turned up either, but that could be wrong.
New shuffle of the cabinet. Um, and I think we do have someone who wants to talk about what's going on today in terms of the debate on the electoral integrity bill and with the appointment or reappointment of Giggum to cabinet. My predecessor as Director General, Leah, wants to join us, and I'll bring her up on the stage in a moment. Anything you need to say before I bring up Leah, Dan?
I would just like to remind everyone, anything that is said is not from RTE, it's instead from an individual from the public, and we're not trying to promote anyone's specific views in this way. But yeah, other than that.
All right. We're now bringing Leah up on the stage, who's also the Deputy Secretary General of the National Union of Journalists. Hi, Leah.
Well, I would say good evening, but it's not a good fucking evening, is it?
We don't
We
curse
just
on
don't
RTE.
swear.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Excuse me. It's not a good evening. It's not a good evening. I'm so angry. Um, I'm just out of a voting session in the National Union of Journalists, and we're voting what looks like to condemn the government for their appointment of Giggum to the Ministry of Justice, because it's a completely unacceptable move that is an attack on the journalists who were suppressed by him during his term. And it is an attack on those people who were left traumatized, who were left without a voice in that media sector. And it is completely unacceptable that this government is bringing him back to fill a position, because there are still people in this community who were left with no voice, with no free media, with no free speech, who are still here. They're still here. It was not that long ago. It was under 6 months ago that this happened, and it is still fresh in my mind. And it is still fresh in the mind of this union.
So if
We
I
are
could
a
quickly
unionised
interrupt
force.
you, we will continue to hear from you, and I have taken into account what you've said. But I'd just like to include that I believe the Social Democratic leader and the government is supporting this bill. But I mean, as you were saying, Leah, you said that Giggum 15 it has suppressed the media in the past. Do you think in the justice sector he's going to do the same here?
I don't know. I can't talk about hypotheticals, but I can talk about what's happened, and I can talk about the experiences that I've had and that my fellow unionists in the National Union of Journalists have had. It's been awful, and I do think that it is a threat, and I think that it's on his mind that if things don't go his way, he's just going to abuse the power like he did before. Because I think that that's what people who they're just built like that, and that it's not something that changes.
Do you,
So
do you
that's
think
what
it's
I
not
I
right to
can't
give him a
talk.
chance?
We would give him a chance, yeah. I think if he definitely makes an apology, it would be much more in the direction that we'd be looking for. But right now, it just looks like this government trying to fill a position with someone who I think it's trying to put a criminal into the office of the Ministry of Justice, and it's unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable.
I mean, these are quite serious concerns. Obviously, you know, last time I wasn't here during that period, but I do believe what he did was quite wrong towards the journalists. But
I know.
do you think that calling for an apology will work, or are we just going to have to wait and see what happens? Have you delivered some kind of ultimatum or something to him?
Listen, we're open to talking to the government because we believe that some people in the government do actually care about the right of the free speech. Excuse me, and I think they campaigned on that and all that and equality, all that, and now they've just appointed this person. So I will talk to the government. We will talk to the government if they want to talk to us. But until then, we're issuing a condemnation of his appointment, and we are asking for an apology, and that is what will be sent out. And if the government they want to talk to us, we'll fucking. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm actually so
It's
sorry
okay.
about that.
Just please try to refrain from saying.
Uh, it's like just in me at this point.
So if I
Yeah,
could
but we're
just
open.
interrupt you again there, we did just see the electoral integrity bill presented by Mr. Sunday just pass there in the Dáil with a verbal vote. We now have the Official Secrets Act amendment from Mr. Sunday, who again leader of the opposition, presenting more bills. But yes, please go on, Leah.
Well, listen, it's as clear as this that this man probably isn't meant to be in our judiciary. But sure, didn't he get like a bar expulsion or something? I remember that. Um, and now, like the experience that I've had with him, I don't speak to him, but I just know that what he did under Valorist, I was just working for. I think Bel Air wasn't a thing, but I was an intern at a media company, and I remember we were just completely shut down and forgotten. Like we were just shut down basically by the government. We were removed, and I remember it vividly. And I think a lot of people in my union do as well. And listen, the unions, do they have a lot of power? No, but when it comes to issues like this, we are going to speak our mind in it, and we're going to make sure that our voice is heard. If he lets us speak, because God knows he doesn't let people speak that often.
I mean, to say he's like, I do get where these concerns are coming from, and in some areas I might agree with you. I can't say, obviously, for RTE. I would like to also again remind everyone this is a civilian. We do not, what's it called? We do not condemn or support anything that's said. But do you really think that with Giga 15 being put back into government, he's going to start suppressing journalists and people alike again?
Well, listen, I hope not. But if it comes to that, I think there needs to be. I'm not going to say the revolution word, but I'm going to say renaissance in the media sector. And listen, I don't know. I don't know if he's going to. I don't know. Maybe he's a changed man, but that needs to be communicated to my journalists and the people who are in my union because they are worried. They're worried about their jobs, their families, their loved ones. I mean, what if they lose their job and the free media is suppressed by this government? It's, I mean, it's awful to think about. Like I'm honestly tearing up at the moment. I'm sorry.
Of course, it's okay, but so obviously you are very, very passionate about it. I can tell. Um, I mean, being somewhat of a journalist myself, working for RTE, I would hope that the journalists have a voice. Do you think that your voice right now is very well represented under this government, or do you think changes need to be made?
Um, I mean, listen, the government. It's an interesting thing. I don't think they've been the most active. That's just a personal opinion. I'm not talking on behalf of my union now, but I think that there could be some more protections for journalists proposed by the government. I think that we could see a lot of change coming from that. I don't personally think that I'm represented as a journalist and as an Irish citizen in this current government at the moment. So no, that's my answer.
Do you think you'll try talking to anyone to try and get some kind of that representation? I'm not entirely sure who works within media and making sure people are represented. But will you try talking to them as well?
Well, we don't really have anyone to go to in the government, so I've been talking with the other deputy secretary generals, and we were thinking of moving for a petition to establish a media secretary or a media office under one of the ministries as it currently is. Just because I think it's a big part of the community as it is. Like there's a lot of media companies, and they're important. And they spread the news. I mean, RT is the biggest one. It's a very, very important thing. It's very well ran, but it's not like represented by anyone directly in the government. And I think that's very important that it has representation and that it's fairly represented as well. So we would like to definitely talk to the government about that, and I would personally go to them. I'll meet with anyone. I'll probably talk to someone after this.
But
We
Leah,
are.
but just to be certain, just for
Mhm.
clarification, um, just so you know, we are going to wrap up and move to another guest when we finish here. But the RTE is directly under the Department of Communities, Culture and Language. So if
Yeah,
journalists wish to speak,
but that's RTE. That's not. And I don't mean think RTE is it's funded by the state, but what I'm saying is kind of a voice. Like the Justice Minister, it does stuff for the Ministry of Justice. It proposes, excuse me,
Oh, but I believe they've gone down now. But I think we have a special guest here with Liam Clark, the T-Shock, coming up on stage at any moment now. Oh, and we are currently voting on the bill. We do have a few TARs across the chamber. We have abstained from one member of the government, and that's it, from the government benches at least. But everyone is voting TAR. I mean, if the activity in the OI Actus is, carried over to how the government actually reacts, hasn't been too active. Yeah, we do have.
Can you hear me
the
properly?
now.
Sorry,
Oh, sorry, we couldn't hear you now.
I had some technical difficulties. All right.
Oh, we will.
Leah, we're just gonna bring you to finish what you were gonna say, and afterwards we will have the T-shirt on.
Okay. Right.
Leah, come back up and say, just finish your last statement, and then we'll move on to the T-shirt.
And that bill does pass, by the way.
Leah.
Hello, Leah. Are you with us?
I am with you. I'm right here.
Sorry, we were unable to hear you. Would you like to round up your statement you made?
Just the idea that we're moving is that there's like a representation directly in the government. Just to speak on behalf of media, I think it could be under, like, I think that we could have it directly under maybe the communities. We could have communities, culture, language, and media, just to have, be able to move media legislation, be able to represent the media companies in Ireland and representing directly in the Dáil. I understand that RT is under that currently, but I think that it should be expanded, that it's kind of a representation and a voice for the media companies in Ireland. I'd just like to thank you guys because it was wonderful being up here.
Of course. I'd just like to remind everyone at home that was Leah, again, civilian citizen of Ireland, and anything they said is not condemned or supported by RTE. Anyway, thank you for coming on RTE tonight, Leah. But we will now be going to the T-Shock, who, again, we are not condemning or supporting anything they say, but they will be talking, I believe, just maybe switching that up. Yeah,
No,
we do have Liam.
we can't do that for copyright. They will strike us from YouTube if you do that. Please don't do that.
So I'd just like to
I'm
say,
serious.
I forgot to add, the New Deal for the working people was just being spoken by Oscar, leader of the Social Democrats there.
Okay. Well, I thank Leah and the her union for raising these concerns, but I think it's important to note that change does not happen by making a spontaneous comment on a media channel, because what you actually need to do is you need to DM the minister responsible. In this case, it's me. And then I will be more than willing to discuss these things with you. But, you can't just go on the media and go on live news and expect, someone to immediately just do something. This is not how change happens. You need to go through the correct channels and the correct, routes to make this change happen. And it's not, going on RTE News Live and talking about how things that you haven't asked to happen haven't happened. That's just not how this works.
I would like to remind you that these were obviously the opinions and concerns of Leah, but RTE isn't the channel for you to specifically call her out on it. I do. And do you think that what Leah is saying is correct, though? That media people are underrepresented.
Yeah, I do agree that there's a lack of representation, and I will be 100% more than willing to work directly with her to resolve these issues and make the real change and represent our journalists who are endangered right now. And that is something that I will work with Leah to ensure happens.
And something else she brought up, the media side of things. Do you think you'll expand the role of Minister for Communities and such to also cover media?
I think it's certainly something that will be looked into, and I could see it happening, yes.
Is there anything else you wish to speak on?
Um,
Because I do believe we have another person wanting to come up.
no, that's all.
All right, thank you for coming on RTE. That was the Taoiseach Niamh Clark, Exel Moore. I apologise if I pronounced that wrong. But we will now be going over to Zito Shard, I believe a member of the Social Democrats and currently in the Oireachtas Dáil, who may have more to say on what's happened. So thank you, Niamh. And moving to Zito Shard, however that's meant to be pronounced. Hello, are you with us?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Ireland. My name is Victor Shard from North Leinster, and I'm grateful today as I join Hamlin down to speak regarding recent stuffs in the government. Um, Maybe we can start with the topic that is about the new reshuffling of cabinet ministers by the Taoiseach.
I'm not sure if that's what you
Right.
want to
So,
talk about.
this happened before any government policy implementations, right? That shows clear cracks with the government that they are unfit to serve. And look, they have made GIGM, I don't know how to pronounce that guy's name, the Minister for Justice, the new Minister for Justice. As we all know that he had a history of trying to censor the media by the by the registrate. I can't fucking speak. Oh, sorry,
Please don't
I
swear on
cannot curse.
RT. Also, I would
Yep,
just
yep,
like
yep.
to, I'd just like to remind you, this should be a platform to voice your concerns and such to the people of Ireland, and not for political movements. I'm not saying you are
Right,
using
right,
it
right,
for
right.
that, but I would just like to remind you of that.
Okay. Right. So, I'm just trying to voice about the concerns. It was talked about in yesterday's session too. And it was about the Minister of Justice. It's very inactive, and there's a lot of
The Minister of
speak lower.
Justice
Okay.
wasn't appointed yesterday during the Dáil session.
No. So the concern is that many of the bar exams are not marked yet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let me vote. Hold on. Let me vote.
Oh, I'd just like to say
And
that the bill tabled by Oscar Sullivan or Clark, the leader of the Social Democrats, has just had his bill passed.
okay, right. If I may continue.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So again, um, I just hope that the government, especially the Minister of Justice, right, they would how do I say it? They would finish all those exams that needs to be marked as soon as possible. Because there's a lot of people requesting for the exams to be marked.
And that is obviously a very good concern to raise. If you could just round up what you're saying, because I do believe Liam Clark, the Taoiseach, wants to come on again. I mean, maybe we could even have you two debate if that's what she's coming up to talk about.
All right, that will be fun. Yeah.
Okay, I'll just invite her to speak. Please remain silent as we just listen to... Hello, Liam. Are you able to hear us, and are you here?
Loud and clear, Dan. Loud and clear.
Okay, lovely. Are you here to talk about what Zito has just said about, the Justice, Minister for Justice?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, what is your, stance on what he has just said there?
Well, what did he say would be the first question. Because I think there may have been a miscommunication with Oscar sending him these DMs for him to read out. But honestly, I think that although we have all made mistakes before, it is important to understand that growth can happen, and for it to happen, we must allow it to happen. Okay, so stay with me now. And, he made mistakes, yes, big mistakes, for which we do not condone, and they will not happen again. I will say that now. It will never happen again, what happened. And I think it's important to note that, he's the Minister of Justice. He will sort these issues out. And if he does not, then there will be repercussions for that, because that is his job, and he will be monitored, as will all ministers. And it's just silly that they keep bringing up this thing that happened how many months ago, how many years ago, whatever. But that's just, obviously, we need to remember it happened, because it's important that we don't do these things again. But it's just like, are you really that against having someone in the Ministry of Justice who will make real change? Do you want us to put someone into that position that will just sit there for the term and do nothing? Or do you want someone that, yes, may have made mistakes in the past, but ultimately he will do a better job than most people that are calling him out for his past actions?
I mean, Zito, do you have anything to say back about this? I'd just like to also add the elections bill. I can't remember the full title, but this is also being debated at the moment. Anyway, Zito, do you have any response to what the T-Shock has just said?
Yeah. Surely. So, your new minister, of course, it's all in the past, but then your minister was proven silencing journalists, right? And you have given in to him because your government lacks any competent choice for justice. You're making compromises for a full cabinet at the cost of Irish people. You and your new minister have repeatedly argued over the past few days. It's clear it's not change you're hoping for, but a full cabinet so your legacy can be somewhat alright. A job you're failing at right now.
Well, once again, I do understand that these comments have been made by Oscar Clark and not you, or O'Sullivan. But I think the accusation that I've done this just in an attempt to fill my cabinet is absolutely disgusting and just untrue, because I would not shove someone into a cabinet position just to say we have a full cabinet. I wouldn't do that. That would be a complete disregard for the Irish people, something that I would never do.
Sorry, could I just add in here? I do believe that's not what Zito was talking about. He was talking about the fact that, he has been proven to do these horrible things to the Irish people. Do you have anything to say specifically on that?
What, his past actions?
Yeah, his past actions. I believe as he's been accused of silencing journalists.
Well, I'm not one to speak on whether that happened or not, but if it did happen, as I understand it, it did, then that was totally and entirely wrong. And, all I can say is it will never happen again. But, you made comments about the bar exams that won't be marked, that haven't been marked, the backlog that was occurred in the last term, and be assured that will, that will be sorted out as soon as possible.
I mean, is there anything you'd like to say in response to that, Zito?
Right. You said that it's Oscar who's saying it, but who cares about who said it? It's a principal point. Again,
that as well.
Your minister was stripped of his bar certificate for insulting free speech in the world of journalism. Oh, also Dan, am I speaking too loud?
No, you're speaking fine.
Alright. And you think it's okay suddenly to appoint him to arguably the most senior role in the government, right? And you're not going to speak on it, even if you believe it happened, because you're afraid for more cracks in your government to arise. It's a matter of time, Tisad. You're making silly compromises at the cost of the right of the Irish people.
I mean,
Is that?
Do you have anything in response to that?
Well, I would like to ask the Irish people, do they think that any compromise has been made? Have they lost out on anything? Because at the moment, as it stands, after him being appointed Justice Minister about 2-3 hours ago, nothing has changed. So I honestly, the compromises that you're talking about, they're non-existent. And there was no compromise, although I have argued with Giggham in the past. I think it's important to argue because it shows that we're not just gonna, let things slide. That's not how this government will work. You need to have a little bit of tension sometimes to ensure that things don't let slip and that there is, a focus. And I'm stuttering.
Don't worry, it's perfectly fine.
What was it? The arguments, yeah. They happened after. Oh, yeah. You were claiming that I appointed him because he asked nicely in the chat earlier. Which simply no. I actually extended him an offer because we believe that with the right coordination, with the right goals set in place, and with the right assistance, he can make real good change, and he will redeem himself.
I'd just like to say, Krispy Kreme has apparently accused you of reading these lines out. Are these claims true? Is someone giving you these lines?
Me?
Yeah, apparently, I believe, if I understand it right, Krispy Kreme was saying that you were being fed these lines.
That's untrue. I'll send you a screenshot.
Krispy Kreme just said that it was made
in
jest. Apologies for that. I mean, the lovely debate we've had here. Does it? Closing statements, I guess. Starting with you, Z. So, what do you have to say for a closing statement?
For a closing statement, all right. I just wanna voice the concerns of the Irish people. Again, the Irish people do feel like you are compromising the nation, and that's why 60% of the sorry, and that's why 60% of the public want you gone, right? Your minister silenced Irish people in free speech. Irish
So may
people
I
are not
ask, do
stupid enough.
you have the proof of the 60% people wanting him gone? So I'd just like to confirm this for our viewers at home.
Yeah, it was in the polls.
So that there is proof.
It was a poll.
Oh yes, I
The
have
RTE tweet, yeah.
it up on the poll, so I was just ensuring that.
Yeah, yeah.
Just to remind everyone, this isn't fact checked by RTE all the time. But yes,
Yep.
obviously continue. Sorry.
Yeah, that was I was referring to. And yeah, that's all it for me.
Okay, and I'd just like to say that bill, I believe, did just pass. And the Dáil is now adjourning for the Synod to then apologies if I pronounced that wrong. To take over at 9 o'clock or right after the session. Okay, now Liam Kirk, what do you have to say as final regards?
What are we even talking about?
Just a closing statement.
Oh yeah, you mentioned the closing polls. I don't know what the fuck I meant to say.
Please refrain from swearing on RTE.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Can you start like our viewers or something?
Closing statement. I wish you would give me more time to prepare, Dan. It's inconsiderate.
I apologise. It was it was very out of nowhere, but it's good to have these kind of debates, especially on live television for everyone.
This government came into office with the goal to make change, and although you may not believe that has happened yet, I can assure you that it is happening in the background. There's countless things being organised, plans being formulated to ensure that you get the change that you deserve. And although the Social Democrats constantly like to flaunt the same polls that they were a single poll in a server with 1,323 people and 60, what was it? Probably about 60 people voted. And, that's just not an accurate representation of the entire, citizenship of Ireland on how they feel. So I feel like these polls, although they do not favour well for my party or myself, it's important that the public knows that this will not stop us. We will continue to serve the
Right.
people for as long as we've got left in office, and we will redeem ourselves.
Right. I just want to say that your closing statement is irrelevant.
No,
Well, we're not talking about change.
Do you want to
is
say that
We're
on
talking about her corrupted
apologies.
ministers.
That is it from the debate here.
confrontational?
Thank you from both of you, Zito Shard and Neem Clark, the Taoiseach, and Zito Shard being a Social Democratic dual member. Again, thank you for being here. Now, please stay tuned in to RTE as we move to the next session at 9 o'clock or some time during now. We did just see the Duel all have a massive sword fight there. Very epic in the background of Neem Clark's closing statement there. If you would like to come up again during this time, again, your access when it starts again, you will be able to come up at any point. Until then, it has been lovely talking, and I will see you at 9 p.m. Again, thank you for watching, and again, please do stay tuned in until 9 p.m. where we do see the Synod or Synod. I can't pronounce it. Convene. Thank you.
Welcome back to our coverage of the Oireachtas for this Saturday, January 25th. Just to remind, I am Kamla P-Possessor, and I'm here with Dan, and we are in the Senate chamber waiting for the Senate to begin their sitting for this afternoon. There were some issues with quorum because a few Senators did not show up, and I believe that the chamber will move forward with only 4 or 5 members in attendance this evening. As of right now, we are looking at the government side where there are only 2 Senators, and on the opposition side, there are also 2 as well. We do not know if that will help the opposition pass their bills this evening. They may end up with a few more showing up. We're not entirely sure, but that is the current state of affairs at this time.
I mean, if it is a draw because it is 2 on each side, that would cause a lot of bills to just be delayed for another week, which I'm sure the government would definitely not be happy about and be scrambling over. But
Well, if
I'm,
it also depends on whether or not the presidential appointment shows up, because the president gets to appoint, I think it's 1 or 2 members
I think it's
of
2.
the Senate, then they normally tend to vote with the government of the day. So if one of them shows up, then that may be a vote for or against, or rather against the opposition bills if the government is voting against them. And a 5th senator has shown up. I
Oh
think
yeah,
that's
they
Fifi.
are.
That is Fifi Le Bonbon. Yes, Fifi. Um, and I think they are going to start. I think they're going to start soon. Yep, they're
Yeah,
starting now.
there's the anthem.
Okay, I believe the Senate has 3 bills or 4 bill, 3 bills this evening, right? From the Dáil, but
I think it's 4. I mean, the dual session was actually quite a short amount of time, considering how long they usually are. But no,
and
it's
considering
quite a short
the
amount of time. But
opposition, considering the
yeah,
fact that the opposition got their bills through as if they were the government, that was shocking.
yeah, there wasn't a single government bill put forward, and you could tell the government wasn't happy about it. They were all abstaining from. Yeah, they're all abstaining from it.
All right, they're about to elect the least here, the deputy presiding officer. Uh, mhm.
Yeah, so choosing. I'm not entirely sure who was actually running. The only candidate is Baron. I cannot pronounce that last part.
And Reichmurrow, former Chief Justice of Ireland.
Also, I believe this could actually be someone who isn't from the government. I can't see the name, so I'm not too sure. I don't know what the candidate is.
Baron is a presidential appointment.
So yeah, not officially a part of the government. We're another member of the Shinead turning up. Shinat, sorry, I can't. I really need to learn that. But yeah, they Yes, this is someone from the government, so we have 3 on each side now. It seems that every opposition member that joins the government tries to add another one. So yes, this is the speech for Elsie. Oh, it does appear that they're playing. There's classical music coming from somewhere. I don't know who's playing that. There's classical music playing in the door.
Not surprised.
Right, so they're now debating on whether they should be appointed as LC.
I mean, based on my experience and work with Baron, he would be a solid choice and someone who should be a good candidate for the position of Cahirla once Victoria Cullen retires from the show. So
Is
Baron
this her last time?
I don't know. No one knows.
Oh, and we have just had, I believe this is either a presidential appointment or a government member being told they cannot sit for this session.
Well, so just for those at home who are watching, so on the side where you see Baron in the grey suit at the front, that is the opposition side of the chamber. The other side, of course, is the government side.
Oh, I apologize, I didn't realise.
But because Baron is a presidential appointee, he can really sit anywhere he wants. But that's generally how the chamber is structured.
And the nomination has passed. I believe I'm not actually too sure where they sit. I believe it's right in front of Victoria there.
Oh no! So the seat in front, directly in front of Victoria, is the clerk's seat, and now Baron is going to be sworn in as Liska Hirlich of Shannon.
I did only say it because I believe Shadow sat there last time whilst he was appointed. And we've already got all the tags for anything else to take. We apologise for any loud drinking sounds coming from appears to be the spectators. This is obviously an oath to make sure members are actually, fair and impartial in their duties, because it is quite important for someone in such a high role who can dish out punishments and such to be checked with such things. Yes, this is also the oath you'll see members in the dual take when they become. Obviously, it's slightly different, but yes, you will see CC and LCC also doing the same oaths or similar oaths.
All right, Baron has been sworn in, and he's going back to his seat. And now I believe we are about to take up legislative business for the Senate this evening. We're waiting on the first bill to be called up.
So I believe the government does have a majority here. So we could be seeing all these bills that are being passed or made. I mean, the government did seem to support every single bill that was read up there in the duel, but
Yes, but one thing that people should note about the Senate operates with its own mind a lot of the time. So if they think something is not good, they will block it or delay it. And now, given that the Senate has the option to completely reject bills that are of a constitutional nature, then their power and necessity has really been increased. And we are looking for a senator to present the election integrity bill that was done by the opposition. And there are no Fianna senators present today, so they'll move right on to debate on the election integrity bill. And now it seems that no one is wanting to debate the election integrity bill.
I mean, personally, I've usually seen the. Unfortunately, we've seen it kind of become puppets to the duel, at least in what I've seen, and as a previous member of the upper chamber. I mean, it was usually we were just told by the duel. I mean, when, like I said, when I was there in, I think it was July and August. No, it's before that actually. But yes, I was very much told what to vote and everything. And we weren't kind of given our free choice, so I'm not sure if it's changed now, but we do have a bit of debate here.
I don't think it has changed because of now we are looking at a situation where a government in the Dáil can have a majority in the Dáil but not have a majority in the Senate because of how the Senate is elected now. So we may have there was a situation last term when the Fianna Fáil government led by True Donald for a substantive amount of time did not have a majority in the Senate. So it is very possible, and it would force the government to have to work with the opposition to get what they need to get done.
And it is often very good to have, the cooperation of both to have one chamber to keep the other in check. Keep people who aren't, obviously supporting the government all the time. But it is, I do personally agree with how it's meant to be elected, and and how the seats are distributed. I think it's a very good system because you still keep, the previous government, they still kind of get a say in what bills still pass. So it is also important to make sure you have the support of both chambers, because if either one doesn't support you, you are put at a very high risk of some of your bills just not passing.
Well, you can thank me for that system because I was the one who made it.
Oh yeah, that's a very good thing to be implemented there then.
All right. So now Baron has mentioned the bill has been adjusted. I think he may end up voting for this bill today.
I think
Based on what
his
he's
speech has gone on for a bit more than 2 minutes. Well, he is pointing out something that is questionable, according to him. And I'm sure that this Sunday won't be happy about his bill being shot down twice now. After initially passing the Dáil.
Yeah, but here's the thing: he's in opposition. There is no guarantee that his bills will even be looked at, much less passed.
I mean, the point he brings up here is that it can only be brought to a high court. Apparently, if the Electoral Commission wishes to. He
Well,
points
that
out.
is making an appropriate point about the constitutionality of appeals, because the Supreme Court does have jurisdiction over all appeal cases, which is very correct. As someone who sits on that bench myself,
Yeah, I do
so
believe the fact he's pointing out here is the fact that only the High Court can do it.
yes,
So
and I
it
think
might
he's
have
going to
been.
suggest some kind of possible amendment to this bill.
Yeah. Well, we seem to have someone entering the. Oh, I think they are on the opposition side, and they've just been kicked from the game, I believe. So he has touched upon the subject we were just talking about here, the fact that the upper chamber is like of advisory and changing things to be better, but he is wrapping up his speech now on the request of Victoria. I am not going to even try pronouncing the title, so I'm going to just have to let Karma do all the work there.
Kahila.
I believe I pronounced it too wrong. I can't do the. Yeah, I'm not amazing at it. Oh, he's brought up a point that understanding to Order 32, members can debate unlimited in an unlimited amount of time.
Is he trying to filibuster this bill?
That is.
Wait, he's saying that the motion of cloture has been. Is he really? Oh,
We
I
could.
think he may just talk this. I think he may talk this bill down. It's already 20 minutes past, and they're only meant to sit for an hour. Even though he said he intended to wrap up anyway. Okay,
Okay,
I thought he tried something.
did get worried there. Thought we were gonna have another 1 hour, 2 hour session of the upper chamber there. I mean, I've definitely had my fair share of 1 hour Dáil sessions.
I thought he was gonna try and pull some sneaky stuff, but clearly he's not going to do that today. I think he is wrapping up. He said he's made his point and he's sit down. Okay. Who else is going to join this?
I don't think anyone else wants to debate after that.
No, it's hard to follow after that.
It's so easy to forget what someone said right at the start of the statement, especially when it takes like this long and that many messages. But something to note here is, like it was pointed out, Fianna Fáil has 0 Sinodras currently present. So, I mean, that is not the best case for Fianna Fáil.
It really isn't, but at this point, it really is what it is.
Oh, we have some mixed. You have 1 tar, 1 nil. Oh, this might be for the
Yes.
third reading. or if it
I
passes.
think so, but this will probably be a division. It's gonna be a vote, a divided vote.
Oh, we
Wait.
have a lot of nils.
Oh, someone should call for a vote. Call for a vote. Call for a vote all.
I believe a vote all has to be called if there's, like, say there's 2 tar and 3 nil, but
Well, no, a vote all can be called for anything.
oh,
For in the Senate, a vote all can be called for any reason. Because I did see some tasks, but just for the clarity of the chair to know instead of just see somebody called a vote all.
a vote all was called. I mean, this is quite bad for. I think Mr. Sunday's looking and worry here. You know, he is present, trying to see if I would assume his bill's passed, but maybe he needs to
But
work on getting his numbers
he
to
has a
turn up.
balance. Well, the thing is, even if they come like once the vote all has been called, you have to be in the chamber in order to vote. If you're walking in after the vote all has been called, then you will not be able to vote unless you request a revote, which requires a motion to be passed. So this is a very interesting situation, and I think Mr. Sunday's bill is in trouble this evening.
Oh, yes,
Again,
something bit was tagged. A lot of confusion here right now. I believe. Okay, a voter was called, so we are waiting for something to happen there. I apologise if you can hear any background noise, but oh, we already have
and
lots of
I
people
see
flocking to bill that.
one senator going into the tar lobby and everybody else in the Neil lobby. So that means it looks like it's a vote of one tar for Neil.
Yeah,
So
so
Mr. Sunday's bill is dead.
yeah, so that's I'm sure he won't be happy about that. I think he has to get it passed in the door again.
No, so the way how the channel works is once the bill is rejected today, it is delayed until next week. And then if they reject it again, it's delayed until the week after. And then it goes to the president for signature, who can choose whether or not to sign it or send it to the Supreme Court for the Supreme Court to declare it unconstitutional.
Wait, so
Or
if they deny it twice, it still goes to the president?
yes, because technically, once a bill has been in the Senate for 2 weeks, so if a bill goes to the Senate and it's not heard for 2 weeks, it automatically goes to the president. That's what the Constitution says.
And they follow that.
Yes.
But doesn't that, I mean, that would theoretically make the upper chamber completely irrelevant. They'd just delay bills.
I'm not going to answer that because we are live.
Right. No, I'm not calling for an abolition or a change of the Senate. I was just very confused about the ethics of it. But yeah, that is Mr. Sunday's bill delayed until next week now, which I've just come to understand. We'll be moving on to the next item. If this is a president for how this session is going to go tonight, I mean, again, the government will be shooting down bills that, you know, many might agree that these are bills that the government should be passing themselves, but
Yes.
I mean, electoral reforms and such.
That
I
is
think,
government policy, not things for opposition to do.
yeah, it's definitely not something the opposition should even be. You know, they should be critiquing these bills that are coming out by the government, not writing every single one of them. And you know, you don't even see the yeah, you will see the. Oh, I'm trying to think now. Completely forgot my words. I completely lost my. What was I talking about?
Opposition sending in bills that aren't really
Oh
supposed to be
yes,
done
yeah.
by.
The opposition always send like all these bills in. You know, you'd expect the government to be doing this, or at least supporting them, considering they aren't even writing these bills for themselves. But you know, they are trying. They were very reluctantly agreeing to them in the chamber and Dáil. They didn't exactly say nay; they abstained from it, but you could tell they knew they needed to pass, but they didn't fully want them to pass. At least that's what I believe happened, in my opinion.
Oh,
I
and
mean,
I should also mention, somewhat Byron clarified to me a while ago that the Senate can actually delay for a further 2 weeks after the first 2 weeks by resolution. So if they delay the bill 2 weeks, they can have a motion to delay it again by up to another further 2 weeks. So technically, if we were thinking about timing of things, the Senate could, in fact, get a bill now and delay it for up to a month and then let the orators close and that bill would just die. So that's just one way of thinking about it in that way.
that is a very lengthy process, though.
All right, they are the Senate is debating the amendment to the Official Secrets Act, and it appears that Senator von Reichmerl is about to speak. He is the senator for Wexford, County Wexford.
Again, I'd like to apologise for any background noise there.
He has called the amendment to the Official Secrets Act weird, and the wording is tedious at best. His words, not mine. It says the bill is broad, vague. It states disclosed, but that could be interpreted as stating it publicly or declassifying it. He is making a very solid point on this bill.
He is, after all, very high up, or used to be very high up in the courts. I'm not sure where he is now, but
He used to be the Chief Justice.
so yeah, he definitely knows what he's talking about here.
So he is making the distinction between declassifying and disclosing. Okay, so he's doing very fairly with how he's making this interpretation out, and it makes quite.
I do believe from how, I mean, they are reacting, this will be another bill from the
That's
opposition
fair.
failed. Yeah. I'm sure Miss Sunny is sweating right now. He does actually know a bit about law because he does have his bar examinations. He obviously goes on
Well,
a lot about,
Mr. Sunday was Minister of Justice for almost two
yeah.
entire terms, so he knows quite a bit about Irish law and how the law operates in this country. To the point, I mean, he has written quite a bit of legislation himself when he was Minister of Justice, as one would expect any Minister of Justice to do. But Mr. Sunday is one of the more learned legal minds in Ireland. I can admit that.
And I personally, from how I see him writing all these bills, I mean, personally, I think he's still like trying to grasp at the straws here, still trying to maintain that form of power and glory he had when he was in government under True Donald. I mean, and can you blame him? They did have a very large success in Ireland. I mean, they were the biggest party twice. I think it was twice. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I believe it was twice. Yeah, they were largest party, and Mr. Sunday. I think Huey did take deputy leader, but I do know Mr. Sunday was very well respected within the party and obviously
Well,
did win the
Huey
election.
and Mr. Sunday did most of the legislating for that government. So both of them have a very good grasp of how the law works in Ireland. And I would not be surprised if Mr. Sunday decides to keep writing bills even while he's on the opposition benches. And it looks like the official
Yeah.
secrets amendment bill fails by what appears to be a unanimous voice vote.
So these are all of Mr. Sunday's bills here, but we do actually have a new deal for the working people. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to talk much on it in the Dáil because we did have a lovely debate there. I'd just like to mention that any citizen, anyone may come up for debates and such, or just speak on their issues with the government or the opposition as well. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that. But just issues within the country itself, or just wanting to speak. But yes, we would be happy for people to come up. But anyway, they got very sidetracked there. But yes, I haven't read this bill in deep, but we do have the Synodoir for the Social Democrats presenting this bill. Again, this is another opposition bill, so I do actually wonder whether this one will pass or not, because it seems to almost unanimously pass the Dáil. We just had a few people who didn't vote. But
Well, you also have to remember the New Deal for Working People is a Green Party policy.
oh yes, it's an amendment. Sorry, I keep forgetting that.
It's an amendment to their law, so I would expect the Green Party, now being government, to stand by what they did before to pass it. So I can see why they did vote for it when it came up. Um, and even the New Deal for Working People is an extension of the Labor Relations and Industrial Strategies Act, which is another piece of our industrial disputes legislation. We're seeing an expansion of the rights under that law.
I mean,
So
I can't remember for sure, but I'm pretty sure this bill right here, Jessie Clark Moore, she had a lot running on this bill. This was her main bill that she was going to pass in, as I think they were called the People Before Profit Party at the point. But
yes,
I am pretty sure they were going on a lot about how this bill was their big bill, the New Deal for the working people. They were going to improve workers' conditions and such. But
absolutely, that
the
was their
the
plan. Yes,
yeah, the same party isn't defending this bill that was so close to their previous leader. So we might have seen a complete shift in ideologies from the previous party to this new one.
I
I
don't
mean,
think the shift was great, but I do know that if they stood by it enough to vote for it earlier this evening, and I think they're going to vote for it again,
yes, it
and it
has passed.
appears that it has passed. For TAS, and it appears one senator is abstaining,
Or just
uh,
not.
or just not
Abstain is fine.
voting. Well, that is abstaining. That's technically an abstention. Um, so when you're voting, so when a bill is being voted on, if it's a voice vote, you do not have to outwardly say that you're abstaining. If you're not voting, it is technically an abstention. If a vote all is called and you stay in your seat, you are counted as an abstention. So that particular senator who did not vote just abstained.
I mean, for me, I would usually go when I was in the door. I wouldn't enter the tar or nil booths. I would just sit outside there. I think that was just like the the practical way of verbally saying abstain. But oh, I apologize. Camera just went there.
And it appears that the Senate is done with business today. They are about to adjourn.
Yeah, so that is. We're just waiting to see if any. Oh yeah,
The Senate
and they are
adjourned.
adjourned. I mean, we did see two bills not pass, and the only bill that did pass was an amendment to a previously Green Party law. So that will go to the president now, and Killing Clark will decide whether he'll send that to the Supreme Court or whether he'll pass it. So unless Carmen has anything to say.
No, nothing except for join us tomorrow. A
Oh
little
yes,
bit
for the Wheel
earlier
of Fortune.
now. Yes, the series premiere of Wheel of Fortune is going to be live, starring, imagine this, Harley OS and High Popcorn 321, who are government and opposition TDs respectively. So let's see how that works.
I mean, I do have to say, I'm very, very excited to see that tomorrow. So make sure to tune in. I believe it's around 6 or 7 p.m.
We go live at 5 p.m. GMT, so
Ah, yes.
12 noon.
So 5 p.m. GMT tomorrow. Make sure to tune in. I've been Dan and Puppy Dab, joined by Karma, and that is all from RTE tonight. Thank you for tuning in. The Oirectus legislative session, and have a wonderful continuation of your evening. And good night.
Good night. Bye.